Listen, a wise woman, she don't waste her breath. She don't argue. She don't beg. She don't explain herself to those who ain't listening. No, no, no. She moves in silence. She observes. And when she sees the truth, she walks away. Quietly. Because she knows energy is precious. Time, even more, and not everybody deserves access to it. So, she cuts off 5 types of people, no warning, no second chances, just gone. A wise woman understands one simple truth. Her energy is sacred. It is the fuel that powers her mind, her emotions, her actions, and ultimately, her destiny. She knows that where she directs her focus, her life follows. That's why she doesn't waste it on people who drain her spirit, nor does she invest it in battles that are not worth fighting. She understands that not every situation deserves a response, not every insult deserves a reaction, and not every person deserves access to her presence. She moves with intention, knowing that the energy she gives is the energy she receives in return. And if something threatens her peace, if someone disrupts her balance, she does not argue, she does not explain, she simply removes herself. Because she knows that time and energy are 2 things she will never get back. Time is the one resource you can never replace. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose possessions and replace them. But time, once it's gone forever. A wise woman never forgets this. She refuses to waste her days on meaningless conversations, unproductive relationships, or situations that serve no purpose in her life. She doesn't sit around explaining herself to people who have already made up their minds. She doesn't chase validation from those who will never appreciate her worth. She moves forward with clarity, with purpose, and most importantly, with discipline. Because she knows that every moment she spends arguing, defending, or explaining is a moment stolen from her growth, her happiness, and her future. People often misunderstand the silence of a wise woman. They mistake it for weakness, for submission, for indifference, but they fail to see the truth. Her silence is power. Her ability to walk away without a fight, without a scene, without a word is the ultimate display of strength. It shows that she is in control, that she refuses to be manipulated, and that she does not need to prove herself to anyone. She knows that engaging with negativity only feeds it. She understands that some arguments are meant to drain her, not enlighten her. So instead of engaging, instead of explaining, she simply disappears. No warnings, no debates, just absence. And that absence speaks louder than any words ever could. She moves in silence because she knows her worth. She doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't demand respect. She commands it by the way she carries herself. She knows that real power is not in how loud you can be, but in how strong you can be without making a sound. She lets people underestimate her, lets them assume she is weak, lets them believe she will always be there, and then, when they least expect it, she walks away. Not out of anger, not out of pettiness, but out of self-respect. Because a wise woman does not stay where she is not valued. She does not fight for a seat at a table where she is not welcome. Instead, she builds her own table. In a room where she is celebrated. Her silence is not just about cutting people off. It is about mastering herself. It is about knowing when to speak and when to hold her tongue. It is about learning that not every battle is meant to be fought. A wise woman knows that real power is in self-control. She does not react out of impulse, does not let emotions dictate her actions. She takes a step back, she observes, she strategizes. And when she moves with precision. Every step, every decision is made with wisdom, not emotion, because she knows that emotion fades, but consequences last. And she refuses to make choices she will regret over people who will not matter in the end. She also understands that silence is a language of its own. It tells you everything you need to know about people without them even realizing it. Who reaches out when she stops calling? Who respects her when she sets boundaries? Who values her, even when she is not convenient for them? Silence reveals truth. It exposes loyalty. It shows her who truly deserves to be in her life and who was only there for what they could gain. And when she sees the truth, she does not confront. She does not accuse. She does not argue. She simply lets go. Because she understands that the right people will never require her to prove her worth, and the wrong ones will never truly see it. In the end, a wise woman knows that life is too short to be spent explaining, convincing, or arguing with people who have already shown her who they are. She values her energy. She values her time. And she protects her peace. She does not let negativity linger, does not hold on to toxic relationships, does not waste a single breath on what does not serve her. Instead, she moves in silence, with grace, with strength, with purpose, and in doing so, she sets herself free. A wise woman understands that energy is contagious. The people she surrounds herself with will either lift her higher or pull her down, and nothing is more draining, more suffocating than a constant complainer. These are the people who always have a problem but never a solution. They see obstacles in every opportunity, darkness in every light, and failure in every attempt. Every conversation with them feels heavy, exhausting, like carrying a weight that doesn't belong to her. A wise woman recognizes this pattern early, and instead of trying to fix them, instead of wasting her breath offering advice they will never take, she removes herself. Quietly. She knows that negativity is like a disease. It spreads if she allows it to. Complainers don't just talk about their problems, they infect the minds of those around them. Their pessimism seeps into the atmosphere, turning hope into doubt, dreams into fears. A wise woman does not let herself become collateral damage. She understands that her mindset is her most powerful tool, and if she allows it to be tainted by those who only see the worst in life, she will lose her ability to grow, to create, to manifest. She has worked too hard to cultivate a strong, positive spirit, and she refuses to let complainers corrupt it. But make no mistake, she does not cut these people off out of cruelty. No, she does it out of necessity. She understands that some people are addicted to their own misery. They do not truly want help, they want an audience. They want sympathy, not solutions. They thrive in their struggles because it gives them an identity. And when she realizes this, when she sees that they are not looking for a way out, but rather a reason to stay stuck, she makes a choice. She chooses herself. She chooses her peace. And so she distances herself, not with anger, not with resentment, but with wisdom. A wise woman also knows that complaining is not just a habit, it's a mindset. It's a way of seeing the world, and she refuses to let that mindset infect her own. She understands that life is not perfect, that struggles are inevitable, but she chooses to focus on solutions, not problems. She believes in growth, in possibilities, in the power of perspective. She knows that challenges are temporary, that setbacks are lessons, and that no amount of complaining will change a situation. So, she surrounds herself with people who uplift, who inspire, who push her forward instead of dragging her down. She does not engage in pointless pity parties. She does not entertain endless complaints about things that will never change. She does not allow herself to become an emotional dumping ground for those who refuse to take control of their lives. Instead, she sets boundaries. She limits access, and when necessary, she walks away completely. Because she knows that protecting her energy is not selfish, it's survival. She cannot afford to carry the burdens of those who refuse to carry their own. Some may not understand her silence. They may call her cold, distant, or unsupportive. But she does not let their opinions dictate her decisions. She knows her worth. She knows her limits. And she knows that if she wants to build a life filled with purpose, she cannot afford to entertain those who only want to dwell in misery. She moves on without guilt, without hesitation. Because at the end of the day, she is responsible for her own happiness, and that means cutting off anything or anyone that threatens it. A wise woman does not hate complainers. She simply refuses to become one. She chooses gratitude over complaints, action over excuses, and peace over chaos. She knows that her life is shaped by the people she allows in it, and she refuses to let negativity take root. So she makes the hard choice. She lets go of those who drain her, and she aligns herself with those who elevate her. Not because she is better than them, but because she has chosen a different path. One that leads to growth, to peace, to fulfillment. And she walks that path without looking back. She walks away from jealous people who secretly resent her success. Jealousy is a silent poison. It hides behind smiles, disguises itself as concern, and masks itself as friendship. A wise woman has learned to recognize it, not through words, but through actions. She sees it in the subtle jabs, the backhanded compliments, the sudden coldness when she shares good news. She notices how some people celebrate her struggles but grow distant when she succeeds. And when she recognizes this pattern, she does not ignore it. She does not try to change it. She simply walks away. She understands that true support does not come with conditions. Real friends, real allies, real people who care will celebrate her wins just as much as they comfort her losses. They will uplift, encourage, and push her forward, not secretly hope for her downfall. Jealousy, however, operates differently. It does not want to see her fail outright. It just does not want her to succeed beyond a certain point. It thrives in silent competition, in quiet resentment, in secret comparisons. A wise woman does not entertain this kind of energy. She removes it from her life before it has the chance to harm her. She also knows that jealousy is not always obvious. Sometimes it comes disguised as advice. Are you sure you can handle that? Maybe you should slow down. Not everyone likes people who are too ambitious. These words may sound like concern, but she sees them for what they really are: fear. Not her own, but theirs. Their fear of being left behind, their fear of their own mediocrity, their fear of watching her rise while they remain stagnant. She does not let their fear become her own. She keeps moving, keeps growing, keeps elevating. She does not try to fix jealous people. She does not shrink herself to make them feel comfortable. She does not downplay her achievements to soothe their insecurities. A wise woman refuses to dim her light to make others feel better in their darkness. She has worked too hard, sacrificed too much, and come too far to hold herself back for the sake of someone else's fragile ego. If her success threatens them, that is their burden to carry, not hers. Jealousy often turns into sabotage. It starts with gossip, with whispers, with little attempts to undermine her. A wise woman sees this coming. She listens, not just to what people say, but how they say it. She pays attention to their tone, to their energy, to the way they react when she speaks of her goals. And when she senses resentment, she does not wait for betrayal. She does not wait to be stabbed in the back. She leaves before they even get the chance. She has no time for hidden envy, no patience for fake smiles, no interest in proving herself to those who secretly want to see her fail. She surrounds herself with those who genuinely want her to win, those who clap when she rises, those who take inspiration from her growth instead of feeling threatened by it. She knows that real success is not just about what she gains, it's also about what she lets go of. And so, she lets go, silently, without warning, without explanation, because a wise woman knows jealousy is a battle she will never win, and she refuses to fight it. A wise woman understands that trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. It is not just about words. It is about actions, consistency, and integrity. She believes that honesty is not a privilege, but a requirement. And when that trust is broken, she does not waste time trying to rebuild what has already been shattered. A lie, no matter how small, is a betrayal. And betrayal, once committed, plants a seed of doubt that can never truly be removed. She may forgive, she may move forward, but she never forgets. Because she knows that if someone lies once, they will lie again. She has no interest in guessing games, in decoding half-truths, or in questioning whether someone's words are genuine. A wise woman listens carefully, not just to what people say, but to what they avoid saying. She pays attention to inconsistencies, to contradictions, to the subtle shifts in energy when the truth is being twisted. And when she senses deception, she does not confront with anger. She does not beg for honesty. She does not plead for an explanation. No, she simply takes note. And when the time is right, she removes herself. Some people lie out of habit, others out of fear, and some because manipulation is second nature to them. A wise woman knows that the reason does not matter, the result is always the same. Lies destroy relationships, erode trust, and create distance where there once was closeness. She refuses to live in a world where she has to second-guess someone's intentions, where she has to question whether she is being told the truth or fed another carefully crafted lie. That is not peace, that is not security, and she refuses to tolerate it. She does not fall for apologies without changed behavior. I'm sorry means nothing when the actions remain the same. She knows that words are easy, promises even easier, but integrity, that is rare. She does not need an elaborate excuse. a well-crafted justification, or a dramatic plea for another chance. She believes that people reveal who they are through their actions, not their explanations. So when someone shows her that lying comes easily to them, she does not try to fix them. She does not waste time hoping they will change. She accepts the truth about them, and she walks away. There are those who will call her unforgiving, who will say she is too harsh, too quick to cut people off. But what they fail to understand is that a wise woman does not fear loss. She fears betrayal. She would rather be alone than surrounded by people she cannot trust. She would rather have a small circle of honesty than a large one filled with deception. She does not settle for half-truths, for sugar-coated lies, for deceit disguised as love. She holds herself to a higher standard, and she expects the same from those she allows into her life. She has no interest in playing detective, in piecing together the truth from a web of deception. A wise woman values her peace, her sanity, and her ability to rest at night knowing that the people in her life are honest with her. She does not need perfection, but she does need transparency. If someone cannot give her that, they cannot have access to her. It is that simple. No warnings, no second chances, no exceptions. Because she knows that trust, once broken, never feels the same again, so she walks away, silently, without debate, without giving them the opportunity to weave another lie. She does not waste time explaining why, because they already know. They made the choice to deceive, and she makes the choice to leave, not out of bitterness, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Because a wise woman knows once trust is broken, it's over. A wise woman understands that not all battles are fought with fists or words. Some are fought in the shadows, through manipulation, through subtle mind games, through quiet control. She has encountered those who twist the truth, who shift blame, who plant seeds of doubt in her mind just to keep her under their influence. These manipulators do not always shout, they whisper. They do not force, they persuade. They do not openly demand, they make her feel like it was her choice all along. But a wise woman sees through the game, and when she does, she refuses to play. Manipulators thrive on control. They test boundaries, pushing little by little, seeing how much they can get away with before she notices. They use guilt to keep her in line, turning every confrontation into a question of whether she is being unreasonable. You're overreacting, they say. I didn't mean it like that. You're making this bigger than it is. And for a moment, she might question herself. She might wonder if she is being too sensitive, too emotional, too demanding. But then she remembers who she is. She remembers that her feelings are valid, that her instincts are sharp, that her boundaries exist for a reason. And that is when she cuts them off. A wise woman knows that manipulation is not always obvious. It can come in the form of a friend who always plays the victim, making her feel responsible for fixing their life. It can come from a partner who subtly isolates her from those who truly care about her. It can come from a family member who constantly makes her feel like she owes them something, even when she has given more than enough. Manipulation does not always look like force. It often looks like obligation. And the moment she realizes that someone is using her kindness as a weapon against her, she stops giving them access to her. She does not argue with manipulators because she knows their tactics. They twist words, rewrite history, turn every confrontation into a way to make her the villain. She does not waste time trying to make them see her side because she knows they already do. They just don't care. Their goal is not to understand her. Their goal is to control her. And a wise woman refuses to be controlled. She refuses to be a pawn in someone else's game. She refuses to be a puppet whose strings are pulled by another's insecurities. So she does the one thing they never expect. She leaves. The hardest part of cutting off a manipulator is the silence that follows. They will reach out not with genuine remorse, but with carefully crafted words designed to pull her back in. They will suddenly be kind, suddenly be apologetic, suddenly say everything she ever wanted to hear. But she knows the difference between real change and temporary performance. She does not fall for the act, does not allow herself to be fooled by their newfound sweetness. She has seen their true face, and she knows that no amount of sugar can disguise poison. She also knows that cutting off manipulators is not just about protecting herself. It is about reclaiming her power. Every time she walks away from someone who played with her emotions, she is reminding herself of her own worth. Every time she refuses to engage in their games, she is choosing her peace over their chaos. Every time she sets a boundary and sticks to it, she is strengthening her own sense of self. And the stronger she becomes, the less likely she is to ever let another manipulator into her life again. A wise woman does not waste her breath on those who twist reality to fit their own agenda. She does not argue with those who refuse to take accountability. She does not entertain the endless cycle of manipulation, guilt, and control. Instead, she moves in silence. She cuts the strings, she walks away, and she never looks back. Because she knows true power is not in controlling others. True power is in knowing when to let go. A wise woman does not tolerate disrespect, not because she is arrogant, but because she understands her worth. She has spent years learning, growing, and building herself into the person she is today. She knows the value of her time, her energy, and her presence. So when someone speaks to her with condescension, when they disregard her feelings, when they act as though she is unworthy of basic kindness and respect, she does not argue. She does not plead. She does not lower herself to prove she deserves better. She simply walks away. Disrespect comes in many forms. Sometimes it is loud and obvious. Insults, belittling remarks, open humiliation. Other times it is subtle. A dismissive tone, an eye roll, an unanswered message, a broken promise. A wise woman recognizes it all. She sees the way some people test her limits, the way they push boundaries just to see how much she will tolerate. She does not let it slide, does not excuse it as a mistake, does not laugh it off as a joke. Because she knows that the moment she allows disrespect, she teaches others that it is acceptable. And she refuses to be treated as anything less than she deserves. There are those who will tell her she is overreacting. It wasn't that serious. You're being too sensitive. I was just joking. But a wise woman does not let others define her standards. She does not let people convince her that mistreatment is normal. She knows that respect is not a request, it is a requirement. If someone cannot give it to her willingly, she will not beg for it. She will not stay in spaces where she is not valued. She will not engage in conversations that degrade her. She will not entertain relationships that chip away at her dignity. She has learned that disrespect is often a reflection of the one giving it, not the one receiving it. People who belittle others often feel small themselves. Those who try to diminish her worth are usually insecure about their own. But she does not make excuses for them. She does not take on the responsibility of fixing their broken self-esteem. She is not in the business of healing people who refuse to heal themselves. If someone's way of feeling powerful is by making her feel small, they have no place in her life. A wise woman also understands that respect is about more than just words. It is about actions. Someone can speak sweetly and still disrespect her with their behavior. They can smile to her face while betraying her behind her back. They can say all the right things, but show time and time again that they do not value her. And she watches, she observes. She does not let smooth words blind her to harsh truths. When someone's actions do not align with their words, she believes the actions, every time. She does not engage in pointless arguments with the disrespectful. She does not waste time trying to teach people how to treat her. She knows that respect is not something that needs to be begged for. It is something that should be given naturally. If someone cannot offer it, she will not force it. If someone chooses to undermine, belittle, or ignore her worth, she will not stay and try to convince them otherwise. She will simply remove herself, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of wisdom. A wise woman never chases respect. She demands it with her presence, with her confidence, with the way she carries herself. And those who cannot rise to her level, those who cannot meet her with the same level of honor and consideration that she gives to others, will find themselves left behind. Because she knows that the moment she accepts disrespect, she gives permission for it to continue. And a woman who truly knows her worth, she never settles for less. A wise woman knows the value of effort, both the effort she gives and the effort she receives. She understands that relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or romantic partnerships, are built on mutual care, on reciprocation, on the understanding that love and respect are not just felt but shown. So when she realizes that she is the only one trying, the only one reaching out, the only one putting in the work to maintain the connection, she does not beg, she does not plead, she walks away. She has learned that appreciation is not about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It is about consistency. It is about showing up, about making time, about acknowledging the things she does without being asked. When she supports someone, she does it wholeheartedly. She listens. She nurtures. She gives, not because she expects anything in return, but because she believes in being there for the people she cares about. But the moment she feels like her effort is being taken for granted, like her presence is being treated as an option rather than a gift, she knows it is time to let go. A wise woman recognizes when a relationship becomes one-sided. She notices when she is always the one checking in, always the one making plans, always the one compromising. She pays attention to the way people respond to her generosity. Do they acknowledge it, or do they expect it? Do they express gratitude, or do they treat her kindness as a given, as something they are entitled to? And when she sees that her efforts are being met with indifference, she does not make excuses for them. She does not convince herself that they are just busy, just forgetful, just unaware. She does not lower her standards for those who refuse to meet her halfway. She has spent too much time and energy building herself into a strong, capable, giving woman to waste her efforts on those who do not see the value in them. She refuses to be the person who pours endlessly into others while receiving nothing in return. She knows that love, respect, and appreciation should flow both ways. And if she is the only one holding the connection together, then it is not a real connection. It is an obligation, and a wise woman does not stay in places where she feels like a burden rather than a blessing. There will always be those who only realize her worth once she is gone, the ones who never said thank you, who never put in the effort, who assumed she would always be there until she isn't, and suddenly they miss her. Suddenly they remember all that she did, all the times she showed up, all the ways she made their lives easier, brighter, better, but by then it is too late. A wise woman does not return to places where she was unappreciated. She does not wait for people to see her worth after they have ignored it for too long. She also understands that walking away is not about anger, it is about self-respect. She does not leave to punish anyone, to make them feel guilty, or to force them to change. She leaves because she deserves better. She leaves because she knows that effort should never be one-sided. She leaves because she understands that when she stops overextending herself for people who do not value her, she makes room for those who will. And that is the kind of love, the kind of friendship, the kind of connection she truly deserves. A wise woman never forces anyone to appreciate her. She never begs for attention, for recognition, for the bare minimum. She gives freely, but she also knows when to stop. She knows that real love, real friendship, real respect comes from those who make an effort, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. And if she has to walk away to find that, then so be it. Because she would rather stand alone in her worth than remain in spaces where her effort is unnoticed. A wise woman understands that peace is priceless. It is not something that can be bought, borrowed, or begged for. It is something she must protect. She has worked hard to create a life that is calm, balanced, and filled with positivity. So when she notices someone disrupting that peace, bringing chaos, drama, or negativity into her world, she does not try to fix them. She does not try to change them. She does not try to convince them to be different. Instead, she removes herself, because a wise woman knows that peace is not negotiable. She has learned that some people thrive on conflict. They create problems where there are none, stir up arguments for attention, and feed off of drama as if it were oxygen. They gossip, they complain, they pull others into their web of negativity. and at one point in her life she may have entertained it. She may have tried to be the peacemaker, the problem solver, the one who smooths things over, but a wise woman understands that some people do not want solutions, they want an audience, and she refuses to be part of the show. Peace is not just about avoiding arguments, it is about energy. A wise woman is deeply aware of the energy people bring into her life. She pays attention to how she feels after spending time with someone. Does she feel drained, exhausted, anxious, or does she feel uplifted, inspired, and at ease? She does not ignore these feelings. She does not dismiss them as overthinking, because she knows that energy does not lie. If someone consistently leaves her feeling heavy, uneasy, or emotionally exhausted, she knows it is time to let them go. There are those who will call her distant, who will say she has changed, who will accuse her of being too selective with who she allows into her space. And she accepts that, because she has changed. She has outgrown the need to be surrounded by people who drain her. She no longer feels the need to prove her loyalty to those who bring nothing but stress into her life. She understands that her time, her space, and her peace are sacred, and she will not apologize for protecting them. She has also realized that some people bring chaos in disguise. Not every disturbance is loud. Sometimes it comes in the form of an unreliable friend who constantly cancels plans, leaving her feeling unimportant. Sometimes it is the partner who is emotionally inconsistent, making her feel like she is always walking on eggshells. Sometimes it is the family member who only calls when they need something, never once asking how she is doing. A wise woman recognizes that peace is disturbed not just by arguments, but by inconsistency, by uncertainty, by people who take more than they give, and she refuses to tolerate it. She has reached a point in her life where she values her mental and emotional well-being above all else. She no longer feels obligated to entertain people who do not align with the peaceful life she is building. She does not waste her breath on unnecessary conflicts. She does not involve herself in drama that does not serve her. She does not allow people to project their negativity onto her. And if protecting her peace means walking away from certain relationships, she does so without hesitation, without guilt, without looking back. A wise woman understands that peace is not something she finds, it is something she creates. It is a result of the choices she makes, the boundaries she sets, and the people she allows into her space. She will not compromise it for anyone. She will not sacrifice it for temporary connections. She will not trade it for validation or approval. She knows that true strength is not in how much chaos she can endure. It is in how quickly she removes herself from anything that threatens her peace, and that is a lesson she never forgets. A wise woman understands that growth is essential. Life is about evolving, learning, and becoming better than yesterday. She knows that true strength comes from self-awareness, from acknowledging weaknesses and working to overcome them, from embracing change instead of resisting it. So, when she notices that someone refuses to grow, when they stay stagnant, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, refusing to learn from their failures, she does not try to push them forward. She does not drag them toward self-improvement. She does not wait for them to wake up. She walks away. She has learned that she cannot force anyone to grow. No amount of encouragement, support, or second chances will change a person who is not willing to change themselves. She has spent years trying to uplift people, trying to guide them toward their potential, only to realize that not everyone wants to be better. Some people are comfortable in their dysfunction. They do not want to reflect, to heal, to take accountability. They make excuses instead of progress. And a wise woman refuses to let herself be held back by those who refuse to move forward. There was a time when she believed that patience could change people, that if she just loved them enough, supported them enough, believed in them enough, they would eventually see their own potential and rise to it. But she has learned that growth is a personal choice. No matter how much she wants it for someone, they have to want it for themselves. And if they do not, she cannot carry their weight. She cannot continue to pour her energy into someone who is content with standing still. because the longer she does, the more they drain her, the more they slow her down, the more they keep her from reaching her own destiny. A wise woman also understands that refusing to grow is a form of selfishness. It is not just about them, it is about the people around them. When someone refuses to heal, they hurt others. When someone refuses to learn, they repeat the same mistakes. When someone refuses to take accountability, they blame everyone but themselves. And she refuses to be caught in that cycle. She refuses to keep forgiving the same behaviors, excusing the same patterns, waiting for a change that will never come. She has also realized that being surrounded by people who do not grow affects her own growth. She wants conversations that challenge her, relationships that inspire her, connections that push her to become better. She does not want to spend her time explaining the importance of self-improvement to those who are not interested in it. She does not want to waste her energy trying to motivate someone who does not want to be motivated. She understands that who she surrounds herself with impacts her mindset, her progress, her future, and she refuses to let stagnant people keep her from reaching her full potential. There are those who will call her cold for walking away. They will say she abandoned them, that she should have been more patient, that she should have given them more time. But a wise woman knows that time is valuable. She cannot waste it on people who refuse to grow. She cannot slow herself down for those who are unwilling to take the steps necessary to improve their own lives. She is not cruel. She simply understands that she has a purpose, a future, and a responsibility to herself to keep moving forward. And if others refuse to do the same, she must leave them behind. A wise woman chooses growth over comfort. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her, who inspire her, who are just as committed to evolving as she is. She does not settle for relationships that keep her stuck. She does not entertain friendships that lack depth. She does not engage with people who refuse to see beyond their own limitations, because she knows that life is too short to stay in the same place. And a woman who truly values herself will never allow stagnant people to hold her back from becoming everything she was meant to be. A wise woman does not walk away out of anger. She does not leave to prove a point, to seek revenge, or to make others feel her absence. She walks away because she respects herself too much to stay where she is not valued, where her peace is disturbed, where her effort is unappreciated, or where growth is not possible. She knows that walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. She understands that every step she takes away from what no longer serves her is a step towards something better. She does not fear losing people because she knows that the right people, the ones who truly value her, respect her, and bring positivity into her life, will never make her feel like she has to beg for love, for effort, for kindness. And those who cannot meet her at her level, she lets them go with grace. No bitterness, no regrets, just wisdom. A wise woman does not chase relationships. She does not fight for a seat at a table that does not welcome her. She does not cling to people who treat her as an afterthought. She knows that what is meant for her will never require her to beg, to shrink, to compromise her worth. She trusts that by choosing herself, she is making room for the life, the love, and the peace she truly deserves. She also understands that walking away is not just about removing people. It is about removing mindsets, habits, and environments that no longer align with the person she is becoming. She is constantly evolving, constantly growing, and she refuses to stay stuck in places that limit her potential. She does not dwell on the past. She does not waste time on what could have been. She moves forward with confidence, knowing that every ending is simply a new beginning. People may not always understand her choices. They may call her selfish, distant, or difficult, but she does not live for their approval. She does not need validation for decisions that protect her well-being. She listens to her intuition, trusts her wisdom, and follows the path that leads to her highest self. She knows that true happiness is found in living authentically, in refusing to settle, in prioritizing her own peace above all else. And so, she walks with grace. She walks with confidence. She walks with the unshakable knowledge that she deserves the best because she has worked for it, because she has earned it, because she is wise enough to know that anything less is simply not worth her time. A wise woman does not fear letting go. She embraces it because she knows that in walking away from what no longer serves her, she is walking toward the life she was always meant to have.